Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm Gav Major, and this is a review of the Belfast 43, a British Tier 7 premium cruiser, which is the end reward of what I believe is the Galloping Seahorse, or the Return of Belfast campaign, I guess you could say. And yeah, so obviously unlocked behind WG backing at the end of the 100 milestones, which would need to be completed during this campaign. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she made a return in the future as a potential global XP ship, just considering what she's like, I guess you could say. This is Benson's laying a smokescreen, and I am going to take all intensive advantage of it. I just hope that he does push up and do some spotting. So, as always, spotting centre left, so gonna move over to the left flank and see what we can do. And also we're going to take a look at that shipping forecast. As you can see, it is a carrier game, and it's a tier 7 and 6 game. Every team we have a Laterabelle, a Mayuku, a York, another York, and then we have a division of a Knechtsoff, an Edinburgh, and a Phoebo, and then we also have a Colorado and an Alabama. And we have nothing in range, unfortunately, with this smokescreen, so it's going to be a bit of a let's wait and see. Actually, we might be able to start firing on the Colorado. So, Belfast is a member of the 2-strong Edinburgh subclass of the 10-strong town class light cruisers, which were built between 1934 and 1939. Now, Belfast was the first of the class to be commissioned, even though I think Edinburgh was the first to be laid down, and obviously she was launched on St. Patrick's Day. Now, she did suffer damage early on in the war, where she basically hit a sea mine which basically broke her back, and she had to be rebuilt during the war, meaning that she for the early part of the war she wasn't really around, I guess you could say. But she returned to service in 1943, and obviously that's what she's represented in this game at the moment, I guess you could say. So, as always, in comparison to the tech tree tier 7 cruisers, what are we looking at? Well, survivability, she has the 5th lowest HP of 38,400. She also has the 3rd lowest HP pool of 51,280 should you decide to equip the repair party. Now, she has the joint 2nd highest torpedo damage reduction of 16% from her torpedo belt. And when it comes to the armour scheme, let's go back to the port and take a look at the armour there. So here we are back in the port, taking a look at the armour scheme of Belfast 43, and as you're probably already seeing, there's not really any armour, let's be completely honest. The bow and the stern are 16mm plating, sufficient to ricochet 8-inch AP, taking those away. Superstructure 13mm thick, which means it's a great big high explosive sponge is the best way to put it. So yeah, you're going to be taking a lot of damage from that. The upper armoured belt and armoured deck, most of it is only 19mm thick, which means it's again only really going to be ricocheting, say 8, maybe 9-inch guns, I guess you could say, and it might stop the high explosive shells from small caliber high explosives, but it's not a lot. And you can see you do have a slight centre part of the ship and deck which is slightly thicker, armed 114mm thick, but that's a very small segment, and the reason why that's there is because it covers the really delicate part of the citadel. Anyway, turrets on barbettes, well, the turrets are 51mm plating, 102 somewhere, I think that's the turret faces. So the turrets generally seem to be alright, I guess you could say, resistant to 8-inch AP, but I have noticed that they can be knocked out if they do come under sustained fire, so I guess it's just the joys of RNG. And turret barbettes, A and Y go down to the citadel, whereas B and X seem to stop a little short. So whether this potentially means the magazines might be slightly exposed underneath those turrets is not completely certain, I guess you could say. But they're capable of bouncing 14-inch AP that punches through, but obviously at tier 7 most battleships have 15, 16 and even 18-inch guns out there, so something to be wary of. Citadel, it is big, it is long, it is partially above the waterline, it's got a very thin section in the middle, yeah, so basically everything you don't want to hear, I guess you could say. So yeah, armor scheme wise of the Belfast 43, it's not favourable at all, and so you have to really take that into consideration when you're playing it. Anyway, we'll go back to the game and see if we're still alive. Well, welcome back. So, the Consumables has started to make a move out here, so this could be quite interesting. So, artillery-wise, she has 12 number 6-inch guns mounted in 4 treble gun turrets. We have A turret with B turret super firing up front, and we have X turret super firing over Y turret at the rear. So yep, 2 forward, 2 aft, 6 guns can be brought forward and aft, and also 12 on the broadside, which is quite nice. Now, when it comes to these turrets, I guess you could say, what are we looking at? Well, with the guns, you do have the joint second shortest range of 15.3 kilometers. You also have the fourth fastest reload of, I haven't written it down, but I think it's 9.5 seconds. Unfortunately, this is worse than the Edinburgh if you are looking to compare. Also worse than the Belfast at tier 6. Now, she has the joint second slowest turret traverse speed of 25.7 seconds per 180 degrees of rotation. I'm going to use the island, I think. Now, when it comes to the shells, she has the second lowest high explosive shell damage of 2,450. She also has the lowest fire chance of only 9%. She also has the joint lowest AP shell damage of 3,100. Now, that's all we got in Edinburgh. Okay, might as well see if we work that over. When it comes to the DPMs, she has the third highest high explosive DPM, which is I guess slightly advantageous. Yeah, so that's why obviously you're seeing that I'm sticking to high explosives most of the time. Now, she has the 5th lowest fires per minute, and she also has the 5th lowest AP DPM as well. Now, when it comes to the torpedoes, obviously this is something that she does have in comparison to Belfast 43. She has 2 number triple launchers, 1 per side, and these offer her the joint second fastest reload of 72 seconds, which works out as 24 seconds per tube of that launcher, which is actually slightly better than average. We've got a lot of enemies here, they just hemmed in, I guess you could say. Now, these torpedoes, we'll see if we can actually pick on something for now. These will have the third highest torpedo damage of 15,967, which I guess is quite nice. Furthermore, they have an average detection of 1.3 kilometers and the third shortest range of only 8 kilometers. Now, they have an average speed of 61 knots as well. When it comes to the manoeuvrability, she has the joint second lowest speed of 32.5 knots, but she does have the joint smallest turn circle of 680 meters and the 4th slowest rudder shift of 9.9 seconds. Coming under fire from something, but not really sure what. Yeah, we've done the manoeuvrability, so on to the concealment. Concealment wise, she has the second best detectability by sea of 11.9 kilometers. Other detections, she has 7.2 kilometers by air and 5.7 kilometers when firing from smoke. Now, Consumables is quite a kind of a feather in her cap, but also it's pretty straightforward what people are going to be picking. So although you have lots of options, I guess you could say, you're not going to be really using some of those options. So what you're looking at is you can either take 5 smoke screens or 2 repair parties in one of your slots. Now for the smoke screens, these have a 15-second duration, that's how long it will take to lay a smoke screen, and a 40-second dispersion, that's how long the smoke screen will sit around for. Furthermore, they have a 70-second reload. Now when it comes to the repair parties, these aren't really anything special, unfortunately. These have basically will repair 230 HP per second for 28 seconds, meaning each repair party will recover you a total of 6,440 HP, and the repair parties have a 60-second reload. Now, for your next consumable slot, you can choose between having 2 number sonar or 2 number defensive AA fire consumable. Now with the defensive AA fire consumable, this is pretty standard stuff for a tier 7 cruiser, so not really anything to shout about here. When it comes to the sonar, it's ever so slightly different, I guess you could say, in comparison to the majority of the cruisers at the tier. So it has a 100-second duration and a 120-second reload. We'll be able to detect ships at 5 kilometers and torpedoes at 3.5 kilometers. So compared to the normal sonar for the tier, it actually has a better range at picking up ships and picking up torpedoes, and it also has a longer duration. And compared, it's not as good as the German sonar for the tier. However, to add on to this, she also does have a faster reload on this sonar in comparison to the German cruisers as well. We're going to go silent here and move over. What I'm thinking is I might be able to maybe say take advantage of the flank if they decide to keep pushing. If not, we'll end up dying bravely, I guess you could say. Now, last but not least, she can choose between having a radar or catapult fighter. Now, with radar, she gets 2 number of these. They have a 30-second duration and a 180-second reload. And the nice one about this is it has be able to detect ships at a range of 9 kilometers. Now with the catapult fighters, she can have 3 number of these, and they have a 100-second duration and a 80-second reload. Now as always, down in the description will be the commander build and the modules that I have used for this game. Obviously you can kind of tell that I've taken a original Tyrwhitt build because I've got loads of smoke screens and really good reload on those. Then obviously when it comes to the consumables, I've taken aiming systems module 1, steering gears module 2 and 3, along with main battery module 3. Now looks like this is going to be a glorious death. Not much we can really do about it. I was hoping that maybe we might get a bit more assistance here. What we might do, maybe see if we can wrap up the California with a fire, maybe. We're being hounded by the division, I believe, at least maybe one of the division.
Main turret critically damaged.
Yeah, we'll just turn everything on, because you never know. We will die gloriously, but we'll see what we can take down with us. 4 shots penetrated, could not find the citadel. Easily. Well, we got arsonist and we've managed to really snap the kinetics off and get high caliber as well, but yeah, just pinned at the edge of the map unfortunately. Not anywhere left to run. But it doesn't look like there's going to be long in the teeth for the game, unfortunately. So we'll jump into a bit of Colonel Bogey's March and we'll catch you at the end screen. In regards to the Belfast and personal thoughts, is she a head and shoulders above the rest kind of premium? No, not really. She kind of just fits in with the rest of the tech trees, I kind of would say. Honestly, she really is a Fiji at tier 7 with high explosives and normal AP, is the best way to put it. She's not like Belfast at tier 6. Belfast at tier 6 certainly is quite a nice premium, I guess you could say, and that's probably why she obviously only ever comes around like once per year at St. Patrick's Day, because obviously they don't want to increase the population of them too much. Whereas Belfast 43 feels like she kind of is at tech tree level. The armor's very weak, but then you should be kind of used to that, say with Fiji and Leander and things like that. So if you like that kind of playstyle, I think it can fit in there. Personally, I kind of prefer Belfastville 43 over Edinburgh, but that's just a personal playstyle preference. I think the reason why I like Belfast 43 over Edinburgh is because she has high explosives. I kind of find sometimes the Edinburgh's AP can let you down a little bit because the armor on certain ships, it starts to get thicker, especially at legendary tier, so therefore that AP doesn't work as well sometimes. But also, having the high explosive just means you get a lot of HE DPM, and when you get those fires, they do obviously help, especially with the Arsonist medal there. And I have got Wither and other things like that. Honestly, I haven't really had many bad games in her, and usually when I have had bad games, it's more my own fault, just due to not reading the map properly. She is a high maintenance cruiser, I guess you could say, and if you play with an original Tyrwhitt smoke build, you're going to have to really want to keep an eye on those consumables and your map awareness and map situation, like you kind of saw on that one. At the start it was kind of alright, but then things started to really close and the enemy started to push up, and I tried to do what I could, I guess you could say, but it wasn't really enough on that flank. The consumables, I do like their arrangement. Although she comes with the British destroyer style smokescreen, that very short duration, long and short dispersion time and short reload, I actually think this is quite favourable, especially if you do original Tyrwhitt build, because you get lots of those smoke screens, so you're not really too concerned about maybe throwing the odd one away every now and then. So they can be useful to like just to disengage. If you are, say, kiting away from an enemy, you can kind of drop a smoke screen between you and that enemy and keep sailing without them seeing you, and try and get that distance away from them if you can. And also, if you pop one and then the target you were going to work over suddenly disappears, you're not really too upset because you have another X number of them to use. Whereas say if you use as for example maybe some of the other smoke cruisers, let's use the Connexov as an example, you get a very limited amount of those smoke screens, so the pressure is quite on in order to maximize the effectiveness of those smoke screens while you have them, is the best way to put it. Well, there we go. It's a defeat, unfortunately, but 117,000 damage for 6 fires on 1 kill from 147 hits on target. So, won't complain with Arsonist and high caliber coming in top of the team. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain too much about that performance. But yeah, but overall, I don't mind her. I like her. I know she's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I know this was a tier 6 and 7 game, but I haven't really found her to be at fault in a tier 7 legendary tier game either, because obviously she has that high explosive, which can be quite favourable, and it's just about map awareness and know what the enemy ships are and stuff. Would I recommend for everyone to get? No, she's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But if you kind of like that Smogathon build on like Fiji and Exeter and London and Leander, then you might actually quite like her up at this tier. But yeah, she is basically a Belfast with torpedoes. She hasn't got many things that make her better than Belfast at tier 6, the best way to put it as well. Well, I hope you did enjoy this review, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Down in the description is the Commander build and the modules linked to Patreon, and also if you are Patreon, your lovely names will appear on the end screen as well, and also feel free to subscribe and all that la-di-da. Obviously I haven't mentioned the credits, but yeah, we walked away with a decent amount of credits as well, even though it was a loss, but that is with a 20% rare credit booster. She is a tier 7 premium, so she does have an improved credit earning potential, and the ship service cost is on par with the tech tree. Well, until next time, I'm the Gareth Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. yes, this is the life. Now, hey, hey, sail away. Here comes the galloping